everybody. Welcome to the Paranormal Connection. I'm your host, Donna Wilberg. Tonight we are so pleased to have on our show Judy Lynn Taylor. She's a shamanic practitioner and certified hypnotherapist, and she's going to tell us all about it. Welcome, Judy.
Thank you.
It's great to have you on the show.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, for those out there who are not familiar with what a shamanic practitioner does, why don't you tell us all about it?
Okay, Donna. A shamanic practitioner is a person, like a shaman when you think of our ancestral medicine people or ancient healers, who can alter their consciousness using percussive sound and go to the inner worlds, to the world of non-ordinary reality. And in that place, the dream time, some people call it, connect with the compassionate, helping spirits that are all around us, helping us, the power animals, the angels, the spirit teachers, whatever. Kind, compassionate, benevolent spirits that help us be in this body. We make relationship, for instance, with my buffalo, my sea lion, my eagle, by continually connecting with them in this inner world. And they work through us to bring healing or information into the ordinary reality that we see in front of our eyes.
Wow. So you're like the vessel between.
Yeah, the shamanic practitioner becomes the instrument that the spirits can work through.
Okay.
They're out there on the other side, and we're here in reality, and they can come into our space and work with this, or I can talk to them like I'm talking to you, you know, Bear, I need your help, and I get information. Wow. And the same in beginning the healing practices of a shamanic practitioner. Well, there's two things we do. One is divination, getting information from non-ordinary sources, and the other is the actual healing work. So when I start out in a session with someone, the first thing I would be to go into that inner place, and usually I use my rattle, and it would just be the rattling sound for a few minutes to get me into that place. And then I would ask to see your spirit. And I create a temple space in the inner worlds where your spirit will then appear to me. And however you appear to me is giving me information. And I can see who your helpers are. You know, if you have animal helpers, angel helpers, ancestral spirits with you. And then I would ask them, what healing does Donna need? And they would guide the process. I just get out of the way.
How interesting.
And let them come in and say, well, Donna needs a soul retrieval, or Donna needs power augmentation, or Donna needs extraction healing. And those are three of the healing modalities that we use that bring the spirit body into harmony. When we have disease, we're out of balance. We're not in a harmonious mind-body state. Mind-body-spirit, excuse me. Don't leave that out. Yeah. And so we help to bring the spirit body back into the harmonious state, and then the emotional body, the mental body, and the physical body can follow suit.
That's fascinating. Now, is this what you would refer to as the non-ordinary reality? Is this what you go into?
Non-ordinary reality is that dream time, or that meditative state, depending on what kind of a practice people have, where you feel you're in there and connected, or out there, as the case may be, and connected to your power, your source, your guidance, whatever, you know, language people relate to.
That's fascinating.
We call them, we call the helping spirits helpers or allies. They're spirit allies.
So, does everybody differ when you're working on a client? Do they all differ as to who they bring in?
You mean the different kinds of power animals? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I may look at you and see a bear and an eagle and a rattlesnake, you know. Or I may look at someone and see a chimpanzee and a hummingbird and a butterfly, you know. And then I always check for guardian angels. We all have our guardian
Yes,
angels.
we do.
Whether you believe it or not, we all have them.
Oh, I know they're there.
Yeah, sometimes they look like angels, sometimes they look like, you know, Fred in a t-shirt and Levi's, but we all have them.
Yeah.
And the power animals, the angels, and the ancestral spirits will give information. For example, if a spirit were to tell me that you had experienced trauma and needed a soul retrieval, and there is a wonderful book by Sandra Ingerman called Soul Retrieval. And what happens is when we experience trauma, physical or emotional or mental, a bit of ourself, our energy, can take off, to take some of that pain away so that we can stay in the body and go on living. And it's like you're in this place and then all of a sudden you can deal with it, but where'd that go? And
That's
so,
interesting.
Yeah, so during the soul retrieval ceremony or healing session, I would connect with one of my helping animal spirits who is an expert tracker, who would then take me to find any lost parts of your soul that are ready and willing to come back and help you at this time, that are ready to be back with you. And 1, 2, or 3 soul parts, we may find a soul part. It's just energy. Like if you saw it in its pure form, be a ball, like an orb of energy that we're bringing back. However, it has information. And when we're doing soul retrieval, we'll see it and we say, oh, let's see, I see a 2-year-old there. And you look really unhappy. You've been crying and you're out in a tree in a yard, in a backyard someplace. And then we start to relate to that little 2-year-old spirit, find out what's going on, what happened. And I'm talking to you so you know what's going on while I'm in that state. And I'll have my eyes covered. And then I reach down and invite that little spirit to kind of come and join with me, and I'll hold her in my heart, and then I'll ask my power animal, is there any more? And so we may get a second one or a third one, and then when we are all ready, we come back into the room and I transfer the spirit energy that I'm holding with the breath by blowing into your chest and into your head, like. And if you think of you know, God in the Sistine Chapel, you know, that Michelangelo is blowing the life into Adam to bring his spirit into his body. It's a long tradition of transferring spirit with the breath, and so that's what we do. Because I don't want to be holding on to any of you. I want that all to be transferred to you. And then there's a little more to it, and then we dialogue, see how you relate, and then we do a little guided imagery so that you're going to meet up with, so to speak, in your own inner space, those spirit parts that have come back with you. And then over the next 4 to 6 weeks, that energy will become integrated. I remember when I had my first soul retrieval, you know, about 20 years ago, I was sitting out on a lawn looking up at a tree at these leaves like I'd never seen them before. You know, it was like that juvenile part of me was going, oh, look at that. You know, I go, oh, hi, honey, we're all here. And when the soul parts come back, things like, oh man, I just don't feel myself, you know, or just, I keep having bad luck, or I just keep making the same mistake. Those kind of things, now that calms down, goes away. Since you have more of you back,
Yeah.
you're able to deal with whatever you're dealing with in life from a stronger, more powerful position.
That's so fascinating, Judy. So fascinating.
It is to me.
You know,
Yeah.
and it all makes sense, you know, for all the different types of modalities there are, you know, for healing. And, you know, we talk to psychics, and we talk to, you know, all kinds of helpers that try to do that kind of work. But it seems like you're incorporating all the different aspects of it, the animals and the angels and the intuitive and all that to bring it all together. That's very cool.
Thank you. And I was going to say the opposite of soul retrieval would be extraction healing, removing other.
Okay.
It's all energy, once again, soul stuff, but we pick up, you know, those little darn yous, you know, right? They go in. I felt that. Oh, I felt that. So energetically, they're working their way in to your space, and over the years, we pick them up. And in extraction healing, they call it, you're taking out that energy, those hurts.
All the barbs.
The barbs.
Yeah.
Good way to put it. So I will merge with a power animal, actually invite it to energetically come into my body, and then as I run my hands over you, I will feel the hot places or the prickly places where those intrusions are, and I see them in my shamanic vision like something icky. And then I'll put my hand in that space, say it's around your knee, put my hand there, and I'm asking, what's this all about? And it'll give me information like, oh, I got it. You used to run track when you were a kid, and somebody was jealous of you and wanted to trip you up and threw something at you. That's still stuck there, you know. And sometimes people will say, well, yeah, I have pain in my knee or whatever from time to time. So then we go in and pull that out, and it's properly disposed of. We don't just throw stuff out, you know. Properly disposed of in the energetic garbage can and removed from your space. And so we would go down your entire form, finding all the little barbs and getting them out. And then in this culture, we like to know what it is, you know. In indigenous cultures, the shaman would come and clean you out, and that was it. But that's why I give the information. I go, you know, this feels like whatever it might be, you know. And a lot of times, these little barbs are in the chakra system as well, so that then the chakras can start to flow more smoothly and strongly when this is removed. So bringing the spirit body into harmony, you're taking out other and bringing back self.
How interesting. Now, how long does this process take, approximately?
I usually work with people 3 or 4 sessions, depending. You don't do it all at once. Oh, I'm gonna clean you out. I'm gonna bring your soul back. You know,
shock to the system.
Yeah, and you're going. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I do a 90-minute session, and that's long enough to you know, do the basic divination. Sometimes the divination goes into a reading. People want to know this, that, and the other. They start asking questions. And so we might spend a whole session on the divination part of it. They want to know what their power animals are. They want information from them. And sometimes a deceased relative will show up. They want to, that could be some of their hurt that needs healing. You know, they want to communicate. And so I pass the messages back and forth. And then, like I say, I would ask the spirits, what does Danna need? And they might say, the works. And then the next time you come back, we do an extraction healing or a soul retrieval, depending on what the spirits are saying is uppermost. And if you happen to have another spirit with you who's not supposed to be there, we take care of that first.
Oh.
As in entity removal.
Okay.
Because sometimes people come in, not everybody, sometimes people come in and they're having You know, they're having difficulties and it's just not quite them. And I understand in this modern scientific age, you know, spirit possession, you know, people don't believe in it. However, those of us who go into that place inside and look at people, we see this. And so the first thing that I would do, should a client have Aunt Sadie still sticking around them, because she didn't want to go on at her funeral or something, is to get Aunt Sadie, and Sadie becomes the client, and she gets to get to the upper world, the lower world, if that's where she wants to go. And we can talk about the shamanic cosmology too. But we get that spirit healed, get it out of the earth plane, so that this person now, okay, now their soul is free to come into harmony with the other modalities.
Nice.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Before we get to the shamanic cosmology, you've prepared this beautiful altar here. Can we talk about this just a little bit?
Sure. The stones speak to me. I'm a real stone person, and in my altars, and everyone will be a little bit different, even in my drumming circles, my workshops. But we're lined up on a north-south axis here. So we have the 4 directions, north, east, south, west. We have the bird people. We have the 4-leggeds. We have us, the 2-leggeds. We have a shell for the sea people, and we have a sage here for the plant kingdom. So I'm recognizing the various kingdoms of Earth. And this is a tektite, which is formed when an asteroid hit the Earth. So that, to me, represents the star nations. And what else? Fire, which we're honoring the space, not lighting right now. So we have fire, water, earth and the stones, and air all around us. And this also represents air. And just kind of incorporating those sorts of concepts into a focal point for creating sacred space.
Okay.
So as I start to put my altar, often it's on the floor, you know, in drumming circles, I'm putting my altar up, I'm starting to go into that place where I'm going to teach or I'm going to heal, that sort of thing. So that's our focal point. And people will come, they'll put stuff on the altar and it grows, you know.
It's fascinating. And what I like about what you're imparting today is you're incorporating everything, you know, and that's how long.
Yeah.
I know we're not going to go into the whole background, but how long have you been studying?
Formally,
yeah.
Since about 95, 96, really getting into it, starting to study with other teachers, and as soon as you get the basics down, and we get into the shamanic cosmology, which is divided into middle world. This is the middle world.
Okay.
There's a lower world and there's an upper world. And so in your basic training, whether you take it from someone like the Foundation for Shamanic Studies, or from me, or from Hank Wesselman at Shared Wisdom, there's a lot of good places to learn the basics. Then you learn how to maneuver. You go inside, here you are. Now, how do you get down to the lower world? Well, what's the lower world? Well, that's the realm in non-ordinary reality where the earth divas and the little people live, the power animals. You journey down a tunnel, a tube, a tree root into the lower world. You think of the tree of life. You know, its trunk is right here in the middle world. Its roots are going down into the lower world. Its branches are reaching up into the upper world, the earth, the living space we have, and the heavens, the subconscious, conscious, superconscious. And so there is a technique. There's very few rules aside from integrity and humility and kindness.
Yes.
But there's a few rules to keep safe, to going into that space, sending your spirit down into the lower world to meet with your power animals and coming back, or sending your spirit into the upper worlds to meet with your spirit teacher. We find our spirit teachers, angelic beings, ascended masters, in what we call the upper world or the heavenly realms. Most of the time, however, all is one. You can go up there and you can find your power animals too. But basically, when you begin studying shamanism, you learn lower world, middle world, upper world, how to travel, journey, as we call it, how to journey down and back, up and back. And there's a few tips and techniques that we use because you want to make sure your entire energy comes back. All of your soul comes back. You start leaving parts of you here and there, all of a sudden you're not going to be good for anything. Tribe can't use you if you're not all here. So you want to make sure you come back.
Now, is that something that you're aware of when you come back?
Yes.
Whether or not you've left something there?
Absolutely.
A part of you?
Okay. That's an interesting phenomenon that happens when you start to journey. Is sometimes you come back, and with me, I'll go, I can see out of this eye, but I can't see out of that eye. What's going on here, And my teacher, okay, lay back down, and you go back into the journey state, and then you call yourself back completely, and you sit back up and open your eyes, and you're all here.
Okay.
With some people, it can manifest as just a slight irritation, like, like, what's going on? Like, lay down. Let's get you back in there. And then you pick up the drum, put the drumming tape on, use the rattle, put them back into it, or yourself back into it, and then come back out again. Would you like to hear the journey beat on the drum?
I would love to.
Okay.
And then we're going to get to your information.
Okay. The journey beat, as I was talking about percussive sound, just a simple beat, rhythmic, about 4 beats per second.
Now that puts you in the theta state, correct?
That'll put you down into the theta state.
Okay.
Down and down. You're just going down. Yeah.
That's beautiful. It's a beautiful drum.
Thank you. That was painted by a local artist named Jim Sharp.
Great. Unfortunately, we're getting close to running out of time, but I want everybody to have your information.
Okay.
So we'll put that up on the screen. And
Okay, I am Judy Lynn Taylor, and I am a shamanic practitioner here in Sacramento. And my telephone number is 916-524-2590. You can find me at adventuresinsHamanism.com and email me at judy@adventuresinsHamanism.com. And I'm also on Facebook at Adventures in Shamanism. That's
super. I'm going to look for you on Facebook and friend you.
Okay.
And I hope everybody else out there does the same thing.
Well, that'd be a lot of fun. Our little shamanic community at Adventures in Shamanism is growing.
It's such a fascinating community. Well, let's give a little bit of information on the Paranormal Connection. The Paranormal Connection airs the first and third Thursdays of the month at 9:30 p.m. following Ancient Wisdom on Comcast, Channel 17 in Sacramento County. Our companion show, Paranormal Insights, airs on the second and fourth Thursday of the month. You can also watch us online. Go to accesssacramento.org and click on Watch 17. Encores of each show air Friday at 1:30 p.m. and Saturday at 5:30 a.m. Contact me at paranormalconnectiontv@gmail.com and check for upcoming information on all of our guests at paranormalconnectiontv.blogspot.com. Join us on Facebook. Just search for Paranormal Connection. Become a friend, become a fan. Wow, that's a lot, to absorb. Well, in the few minutes that we have left, I do have a question for you. So once a client comes to you, has their shamanic experience, do they leave with tools that they're able to keep with them for the rest of their time so that they can sort of like do their own maintenance on themselves?
It depends on how far they want to go. How much they're willing to, to invest in learning the process. It can be learned very quickly. Usually in shamanic healing, the practitioner is doing the work for you, but people who do learn to journey and create this relationship with their helping spirits then can get that kind of assistance to get the healing help that they need. But the practitioner goes to a practitioner also. You know, like the doctor needs a doctor sometime. We do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I know the dream state is different when you're doing your healing. What about the dream state when you're sleeping? Are there times when you're leaving fragments of yourself in other places while you're in the dream state?
When you're asleep? That's a good question. I would say it's possible.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I can't absolutely say for sure.
We're going to have to look into that, Judy.
Let's look into that. I'll journey on it.
I know, because, you know, I would think that it's sort of relative to the same kind of, you know, going into that lucid state. We've got a couple minutes left. What else would you like to let everybody know about what you do?
Well, I do teach. I teach the shamanic journey, and I hold what we call drumming circles, which is a place where we can practice together. We drum, we create sacred space, and we do a couple of journeys in the evening, and then we have dessert.
Nice.
And I'm getting a healing circle going, and I do have scheduled 2 shaman camps in the High Sierra. One is an actual workshop where people will be journeying 3 to 6 times a day, you know, really working with the spirits of nature, the spirits of the trees, the land, the rocks, the animals that are up there at 5,000 feet. And the other camp is a fun time for like-minded people to get together, and then we do our drumming circle in the evening and hike around and connect with spirit in a little different way.
Wow.
You know, a more playful way. So I have 2 different camps going on.
Okay.
And
that information will be on your website?
It'll be on my website.
Okay. Great. Well, in the minute we have left, do you have any parting words? Anything that you'd like to share? Any pearls of wisdom?
Any pearls of wisdom? It's all in you.
Okay.
As we know.
Great.
Once you get your connection with your helpers, they become your teachers.
Great.
And you have it right there.
Thank you so
Right
much,
here.
Judy. Thank you for becoming our guest tonight. And I want to thank my fabulous crew for coming out and volunteering their time. And with that, we're going to say goodnight.